I am so excited to introduce you today to Hadriana Leo from Undercover Cinderella to Wealthy Woman on Purpose. We are going to cover so many different facets of life today. Get your notepad ready because we have a lot to learn. Hi,
Hey.
Hadriana.
Hi, Lindsay. This is so fun. I've been looking forward to it since we booked this because I see so many areas that we can just dive in and have just a good, meaty conversation. So I'm excited.
Oh, me too. And I'm feeling that already. I have a
Mhm.
feeling we're going to have a hard time pressing the stop button, but
Yeah, we're going to have to, but we'll do our best.
okay. All right. You got to rewind. Take us from the very beginning. How did you get where you are today? Where did this all start?
Yeah, you know what? I won't go too far into the rewind, but I think the changes that I'm living right now started with actual trauma. It started with some hard situations that I had to maneuver through. And with these, realizing how susceptible I was to situations outside of my control really impacting me and
Mhm.
making a decision that, you know what? No more, just no
Mhm.
more. I needed to take some control back. And I think that happening, this is maybe 6, 7 years ago, was the beginning of the change that is bearing a lot of the fruit that most people will see on the outside now. But I think a lot of that was already in there. It was percolating. It's part of a lot of the decisions we make now are impacted by, our childhood, the things that we saw, we experienced, and all of that. And there was that in there as well. So my immigrant experience, my experience as a female in a very male-dominated world, especially in the financial services sector,
Mhm.
my impact as a Black woman, even, and having to deal with those. All of these things are things that I didn't set myself up for. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
But they all had impacts on me and my decision to really create the life that I wanted, like becoming not just a wealthy woman, but becoming Hadriana on purpose
Mhm.
was a deliberate decision.
Oh, I love that. Because how many times do we think that if we just keep taking some steps in the right direction, it will fall into place? And I know I'm guilty of that. And I think
Yes.
some of that's good, just a little faith that can move forward. But there's also this, we do have to do actions on purpose as well. So,
Yeah, there have to be things that we do deliberately, especially if we can kind of disconnect ourselves from the outcome, but just making the choice to take deliberate action and knowing why we're doing it. And in the field of health, once upon a time, we used to take action because we wanted to get skinny. And we've learned that that's not the ideal best outcome. The ideal best outcome should be that we want to get healthy. We want to live well. And we've been able, for most of us, to let go of the whole idea of what it looks like on the outside and
mhm.
embrace what healthy living feels like on the inside. And that exuberates. It definitely comes from the inside out. It's the same thing in my world of helping women create wealth. It's not about what it looks like on the outside, because we know what it looks like on the outside sometimes has nothing to do with what's happening on the inside. And we have to
Right.
let that go. We have
Yeah.
to let that go and find a reason to deliberately go after our wellness. And I'm saying wellness because part of my research into the word wealth, when the word was originally used, it actually had no direct connection to money.
Hmm.
Wealth in its original iterations back in the Old English, wealth related to wellness, full circle wellness. And that's what I think, especially as women,
Mhm.
we need to go after. We need to go after wellness. And sometimes wellness is afforded us because of our access to wealth. And that's a tricky subject there.
That is. We should unpack that at
Yes.
some point too. You talk about how you help people like unlearn the programming around wealth and money. When you say that, is this like coming from like a woman's standpoint of if I'm a serving woman, I shouldn't be wealthy even like
Yeah.
that's telling me I'm being selfish somewhere and I'm not serving where I should. Can you talk about that? I'm
Yes.
curious.
Lindsay, society has really messed us up. I'm telling you honestly, because whether it is from being deliberately taught or being or learning by observation, women especially have gotten so many mixed messages about who we should be, where we should be, how we should be, that it's no wonder we are really in need of self-care, right? And sometimes we can ill afford to get it because of all these other hats that we're wearing. But when I say that I'm serving women, I'm speaking from my own personal experiences. I couldn't find the person that could look at me for all of the unique gifts I bring to the world and help create something that resonated with me. I'm I'm a unique mixture of gifts and skills and nuances that nobody really was able to deal with. I'm like, this is what I need. Who's going to give it? I couldn't find it. And as a result, apart from me creating it for myself, I had to experience the lack of it for myself to really understand that, you know what? The programming that women have been given is that we should give and deplete our resources at all costs. But in our giving, we're not expected to take in order to replenish. And this is across all spheres. We're supposed to give of our time, but we're not supposed to take the time. We're supposed to give of our energy, but we're not supposed to go out there and refill our energies. We're supposed to give of our vitality, and we're not supposed to go out there and seek it out to replenish it. I know so many women who will give you the shirt off their back. I mean, that's what we're supposed to do. But can we get permission, please, to go get a good quality shirt to put on our back? So when we give it to you, it's actually still great quality. Yeah. It's a lot of mixed messaging around women, especially as it pertains to our wealth and resources.
Oh, this is so interesting because I feel like the whole self-care topic is one that we go over often in our Direction Not Perfection community because we are a niche of women and this all relates. I've never heard it explained though, how you just explained it. And I love it. I had chills the whole time you were talking about it because there was just this linear connection, your visual for me of like, this needs to come in and there needs to be a fluent way that that's happening. So, so good. And I feel like you'll love this too. I had a psychologist that I used to work next door to, and we'd kind of go back and forth between each other's offices. And she was talking about how women do this, like almost proud, like I give somebody the shirt off my back to what you're talking about. And then she goes, I just tell them, well, great. Now you're shirtless. Like, now what? Yeah. Don't be proud of it. Like you've left yourself totally shirtless. So
yeah, but we are taught to flaunt our giving. We're taught to flaunt our emptiness. We're taught to flaunt our busyness, but we are not taught to demand. And I'm saying demand. We're not taught to demand our replenishment. So we keep being told to give from empty cups and judged by our ability or inability to do that. And I think the tricky part for most women is you may go ahead now and accept, okay, you know what? I need to take care of myself. But where are the resources to do that? Because the shirt off your back will not buy you a massage, right? You've done the good deed and there's no linear corresponding action, that'll say, okay, you've done the good deed. Here's something good that'll come back. It doesn't happen that way. So we now still have to figure out a way, not just to buy another shirt, a good shirt, but to ensure that we are taken care of while we're shirtless, perhaps. I honestly believe that women are really well positioned now to take deliberate action towards the life that they want to create. The resources are out there, the help is out there, the support is out there, and we need to go after full circle wellness, not just the physical or the mental, even the spiritual. Everything these days needs to be looked at if we're going to come out as being whole beings.
Yes, so interesting. When you were seeking initially, did you feel like people were kind of putting you in a box, like needing you to be one, but not all of these pieces of you?
Yeah, everybody wants you to be that thing they need, and sometimes no more, depending on the nature of your relationship. Although you could be more, or you could offer more, and certainly you could ask for more. But a lot of times in those relationships, you get put into, this is what I need you to be. This is where you sit, and do not move from that space. I started off as a traditional financial advisor. So I would talk to you about stocks, bonds, insurance, and all that good stuff. And I remember being told by one of the advisors that was higher up, one of the owners of the business. And I remember he said to me plainly, yeah, don't get deluded. You're never going to be a senior advisor in this office. And I thought to myself, well, I thank you for being very clear. And I promptly moved offices because I don't know why. I think part of it, we are a democratic society, but across all societies, the hierarchies kind of have to stay in place, or else the systems get shaken a little too much. And sometimes those systems that we've created to help us, create a stable society, those systems actually do put us in boxes, and they don't allow us to explore. So one of the things I always say, like, don't bother thinking outside of the box. There really is no box. So just be. Do you know what I mean?
This. Yes. No box.
There's no box. There is no box. And I think that kind of freedom, that kind of conversation is so liberating. Like, just be. It's okay. There's no other you. So go be you and be the best you could possibly be.
Yeah. And I feel like, okay, you just brought up a good segue on this too. So you started off financial advisor in an office, and then your path has come to now you are coaching. Give us kind of every little section in between, as well as who is that client that finds you and how do they find you?
One of the things I very openly confessed is that in my years as a financial advisor in the traditional sector, I was a very professional check bouncer. I was a financial mess. I was essentially a fantastic hypocrite, managing millions of dollars of clients' money, and my own finances were ghastly, Lindsay. I literally would be waiting for my tax refund to try to clear off my credit cards. And I'm saying try because sometimes it didn't do it. One of the things I learned is that it's not what you know. It's what you can apply. And knowing everything I knew about money, I was still a mess. What happened, because that went on for a few years, two things happened within the space of about 12 months. So in the space of about a year, my husband, that happened first. My husband, who was by far the larger breadwinner in our house, right-handed man, contractor, heaved a 9-foot solid wood door off of his hinges, and he heard something crack in his arm. And I'm like, what just happened? He's like, well, my arm's fine. I didn't break my arm, but something's off. My husband, right-handed, broke a tendon in his right arm. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. Bones heal in about 4-6 weeks or so. My husband was off work for 8 months. He had to have it surgically reattached, and he was off. He barely could, honestly, right hand. Maybe if it was his less dominant hand. Anyway, financially speaking, remember credit cards, right? So we had already been in a bit of a mess. And now to have this happen, the income is gone. My income was not sufficient. We had to bleed every little tiny bit of savings we had. Just imagine going around breaking piggy banks. That's how small our savings were. So I call it a piggy bank, but it was actually in savings accounts. And I had to ask for help. I had to ask for help. And I'm the financial advisor, Lindsay. Following that, in 2015, my sister passed away. At the time, she was 51 years old. And I called her sister mom because I come from a large family. So she was 15 years my senior. So I called her sister mom. We were close, and we had all these plans of things that we wanted to do. We road tripped to the US together. She was based in New York. I was based just outside Toronto. We would do our things together, up and down visits, but we had plans, Lindsay. And I consider 51 to be nowhere near ready to kick the bucket. Do you know what I mean?
Oh my goodness, no.
And then with that happening, I thought, wait just 1 minute. Are you telling me that my life could end so abruptly, so quickly, way before I'm ready, and I have so many things that I still want to do?
Mm-hmm.
It was one of those situations where I kind of had that moment of reckoning. I'm like, how long are you going to let other people control your scenarios, first of all? And how long are you going to just let unhealthy, unwholesome decisions run your world?
Mm-hmm.
So between these two, my sister passed in February of 2015. By October, I had a registered business. I was coaching because I knew that it wasn't what I knew that was going to save me. It's what I was able to successfully apply in an authentic way that applied and resonated with me. And that was the development of my coaching practice. I learned behavioral cash flow planning that understood the nuances of who you are and superimposed that onto what you do with your money. It also looked at your goals and dreams. And we start from that point to build, as opposed to telling people, well, you should have 6 months of emergency fund, and you have to have a Roth IRA. I think that's what you have in the US, or RSPs in Canada. All these things that seem to be textbook based, but was really saving no one. I put them to the side. I didn't chuck them away because we do need them.
Yeah.
But I said, no, where do we start? And we start with a compelling vision of what your best life looks like. It encompasses all of it, your mental health, because some of us are in jobs that we're prostituting ourselves to keep, right? Jobs that we know we hate, but the money's good. Yeah. Well, your money's tainted when it comes into your hands if you feel such resentment to the experience of earning it. So it's kind of like a Cole's Notes version of how I got into the coaching field. And I got so passionate about it because I see the results in the women that I work with. So the women would come with many different things, but overall, the woman that would best benefit from my best gifts is the one that has tried all the mainstream stuff and it's not working. Because that's when we dive into the nuances of who you are, what do you want, really make it custom and tap into your best strengths. Why try to become an expert in an area where you're just not great? Yeah. You know what I mean?
Oh my goodness, absolutely. And it's so crazy as you're speaking that this is exactly what happens in the health and fitness world too, is that we have nutrition information, fitness information thrown at us from all angles all day, every day. And that's what I always say. My clients say, I know what to do. I just need to do it. And that's kind of what I was hearing out of you with finances too. Yeah. And so, but if it doesn't feel right, if it doesn't flow in our life, then, and so same thing, like you're asking your clients their why do they care? Why are they fighting for what they're fighting for? And then using a coaching way of getting to how is this going to fit in your life?
One of the analogies I like to give is me and lunges. I was going to say burpees, but me and burpees, we're still in negotiation. But myself and lunges are in a love relationship right now because I will do as many reps as I have to, because just at the exit, at the doorway of our home, we have closet doors with the mirrors on it. And every time I walk by there with that certain pair of pants, I run my hand down my butt and I'm like, ooh, lunges, yes.
That is amazing. Loving me some lunges.
Exactly. Love me some lunges because I know why I'm doing it. So I have no problem getting it done. I love the results I'm getting. It's the same thing. I'm telling you honestly, I didn't get my fitness on track until I got a personal trainer. I knew everything I had to do. I didn't get my nutrition on track until I got a service that actually helped me understand the thought process behind how we eat, what's firing in my head, how can I kind of retrain those hormones and triggers and understanding what hungry actually is. That's just everybody doesn't have to understand all that, but it was helpful for me to understand it. Can you imagine? I was weighing my food. I'm like, what? I just want to eat.
To do this.
But I
Yeah.
learned so much
Yeah.
about how to properly fuel my body. And it happens across all sectors when you know why you're doing something and you
Right.
can go at the problem in a way that is authentic to you. It resonates with you. It makes sense to you.
Right.
It works. It absolutely works. And it's not as much of a challenge as you thought when you approach it that way.
Right. That authentic piece that you keep coming back to
Yes.
100% resonates because agreed. When it's authentic, it feels right, it flows. When it doesn't, listen to that. There's a reason. And okay, on your website, I noticed you have an area because you're doing this with money to talk, wealth talk, that we all come from a certain personality type.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Label those personalities and like what this quiz does to help that individual kind of get this nice starting point.
Yes. I think, first of all, I'll say that I've seen tons of money personality quizzes. I've seen one and I've done some that are like 60 questions long. And I'm like, no, I am not doing that. I refuse to do that. And I will not ask a client to do it. My assessment is 10 questions. They're real life scenarios and they just help you to get a little more granular about how you relate to money. So there are 5 personalities. Let me see if I can do this off the top of my head. We've got the fantasizer, the delegator, the soldier, and there are 2 more. Okay. So of all of them, I'll tell you that I am a fantasizer, which is why it always comes out of my mouth first. Because the fantasizer is willing to do anything and spend anything and will figure it out after. That's the typical fantasizer model, which kind of usually has us a little bit behind the 8 ball on consistently going after the thing to fix what we did before. And the fantasizer usually operates from a place of strength in the mindset side, not always in the math side. And it's interesting because someone like me who's good at both math and mindset, my decisions, like most people, are first emotional. And then I use logic to kind of, make it all justified. The delegator is another one that shows up a lot for some of my clients. These are women who just do not trust that they know enough or that they are enough, and they keep giving to other people to do for them, to make decisions for them. Tell me what to do. Show me how this works. I'll let you make this decision. The delegator shows up a lot, and it's coming out of this idea that I'm not good at math. Oh, my goodness. Or, you know what? This investing is just too complicated. Like, never, never, never. All of these are programming that we have inherited and taken ownership of that is not accurate. Because I'll tell you this right this moment, I'm running an investing simulator game where women get to use Monopoly-esque money and invest it into the stock market and see real life stock market results. So whatever's happening in the markets today, it'll happen with your money based on the trades that you made. And I had one lady who was just like so timid. And she went in there and she's like, oh, I placed my first trade. I'm like, yes.
I think that's so cool that you have a simulator that does that.
Yes, absolutely. I get a group together, we get in there because sometimes people just need to get past the fear of what would happen to real life money.
Yeah.
But the person who is a delegator can see that, you know what, I can go in there and make decisions for myself. Yeah. And it's not about asking women to become traders, day traders, or foreign exchange, none of that. Yeah. It's about having the experience and proving to yourself, I can do this, right?
Right. Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with any personality. It's like saying to somebody, you're just too bubbly, you've got too much sunshine, tone it down a little bit. No, that's just who you are. How can you be less Lindsay? Do you know what I mean?
Right.
You're just you, and you get to take that and superimpose it onto all the experiences that you have for your wellness, but also for the wellness of those around you, because it is absolutely essential that we bring our best gifts to the world. The world is waiting for it, actually.
Hmm. Oh, I so agree. And I love where you're going with this too, because I'm guessing you can see like age plays a role in health and fitness. And I could see this in finances as well. Just that sometimes we think that we're past this age where we can do it or that it matters anymore. We've delegated for so long that, like, why would we jump into it now? But there's this feeling, and it's what you're mentioning of, I always go, I am woman, hear me roar. Whenever I can get to that point where it's like, oh, I did something I never thought I would be able to do. And you're able to offer that to your clients. And I love it.
Yeah, it's very refreshing. I have one or two who still haven't traded yet. So I sent them a little nudge this morning. But everybody comes out of the experience wiser, with more understanding of the whole sector. But not everybody comes out of that becoming a trader. Perhaps the experience says that, you know what, I understand this well now. I can have better conversations with this professional in my life because now I understand better. I'm a coach. I'm never going to say, don't get a professional to help you. I'm not trying to become a CPA. So I will go out and get an accountant, right? And as much as I'm enjoying my health journey, I still don't want to count macros. I don't care. I don't care. Somebody needs to count that for me, figure it out, and just send me the plan. Do you understand?
Yes.
But I have an understanding of what's involved because of the path that I took to improving myself health-wise. So someone like you, Lindsay, you understand the interaction of foods. And me, I'm mostly vegan. Well, I'll say vegetarian. I just don't like meat. Let's just be straight.
Let's go there.
Someone like me, growing up from the time I was a kid, I didn't really eat meat. You can imagine trying to get the right proteins, but I thought I was doing great just eating legumes, so peas and beans, until I found out that to get the full spectrum of protein, I should throw in a great carb like a brown rice to really complete the profile. Like all this time, I thought I was doing great. I'm eating my peas, I'm eating my beans. And then like, you're missing something still. So having the expert guidance is absolutely essential. But us coming at it from a perspective of this is my life, this is what I want to create, as opposed to somebody please tell me what to do, I think is powerful.
Right. We team with it versus just, being
subjected to someone else's thoughts of what's best for you. Nobody knows what's best for you better than you.
Right. And isn't that a lesson you keep learning and coaching? Like every time I ask something and like the result in my head or the answer in my head often does look so different than what comes out of my client's mouth. And I'm like, I'm so glad I didn't try to interject my thoughts there because your answer is perfect and it matches you. Like it's just cool.
That's it. And that requires us as the professionals to listen, which is not something that happens often in the financial services sector because so much is like just prepackaged or buy this mutual fund or buy this or do that. It really requires us as professionals. It requires me as a coach to listen. So my experience with clients, it does not start with numbers. It starts with your visions, your goals. What is really at the crux of the challenge that you're facing? Once we can peel that back, then we can build something that will actually work for the client. And then we can look at, what are the experiences you want to create for yourself? Because everything costs money. I don't understand. People will want to get healthy, but they won't want to improve their finances. But you're going to need the cash flow to get the protein powder or to subscribe to the professional that will help create your plans for you. You need to pay them. Maybe once upon a time, we could have given them, okay, here's a cow, you give me 10 chickens. It doesn't work that way anymore. Money is that universal currency that guides our exchange of resources. So we have to ensure I want to be careful here because I'm not one of these get rich, you must have $1 million type people. That's not what I'm saying. But we have to ensure that we have the money we need to create the life that we desire and deserve. And that might look different for different people, but we need to start from, this is the life I want to create. What do I need? How do I get it? And how can I deploy it? That's what I'm talking about when I say becoming a wealthy woman on purpose.
No, and I love this. And I think there's this underlying, you take away guilt and for whatever. And I know we kind of already covered it in the beginning, but there is a huge layering of guilt in with money for a lot of individuals. Yes. That you are so beautifully stating, it goes back to the empty cup. We don't have to revisit it, but I just thank you for reiterating this because
my pleasure. And it goes deep. It shouldn't be underestimated. This is generationally passed down. This is something depending on your ethnicity. Oh, I had a client one time. She's a realtor and she came to me after finally hitting her six figures for the year. She was finally making the six figures in her commissions. And she came to me saying, I made all this money and I can't see it. I can't find it. Where did it go? So we did our usual conversations and so on and so forth. But not getting the answers, we started peeling back and going a little bit deeper. And it turns out that for her cultural experience where she grew up, anybody who kind of got money or got wealthy, either like the Jeffersons moving on up, they either got sick or they died. Something happened after that point of affluence where they got unwell, they faced a major health trauma, or they passed away. And it seems to have been passed down. And for whatever reason, she took it to heart. So that unconsciously, that girl was burning through money like nobody's business because the accumulation of wealth in her mind meant disaster, like her health and that association instructed how she managed her money. Breaking that, well, I shouldn't even say breaking that, instructing that belief was vital to her actually coming to a place where she felt okay accumulating wealth because now her wealth had purpose. And she had a reason, she had an understanding that the wealth wasn't acquired through greed. It was actually acquired to deploy her unique purpose. So then we could get into the numbers, then we could get stuff happening. And it got real fast.
Yeah, but you had to break down that one or find that one component to keep
That's
moving.
Right. That's absolutely right.
I heard our pastor one time said, if you're blessed, be a blessing, which kind of leads into my next question for you, because I feel like a lot of individuals in religious world and the faith world struggle a lot with the guilt of having any money or viewing that like pastors shouldn't have any money. Because can you go into that? I'm sure you have conversations around this pretty often.
Oh, Lindsay, I'm a good old fashioned church girl.
Good. Let's dive there. And sorry for offending anyone, whatever.
Church girl. And you know what was interesting when I was doing more research about it? I thought this was like a Christian problem, like within the Christian community of faith. But I've seen it show up in different religions, in different spiritual practices, where the accumulation of wealth is looked down on. And also, the church wants the offering. They want you to bring in the contribution, whether they call it tithes or what have you, but they want you to sacrifice to give it so that you don't just have it sitting there and giving it. So needless to say, my friend, I've had to unpack a lot of the whole wealth teachings from a church perspective, unpack that and come to an understanding. I'll tell you this, and this it actually came to me recently. So this is for the person who is a Bible believer. Part of what I studied was, it came to me, humility, the term humility. And how we usually view humility as, abasing yourself or lowering yourself and letting yourself be belittled almost in order for you not to be proud. But I found out that one of the original words used, I think, in four areas, anava, when it is actually translated, it means living your best God given purpose. That is the word that is often translated as humility. And humility, the opposite of pride and wealth and all of that. I'm like, whoa, mind blown. Because we have this thing about wealth changing a person, money is evil and all of that. And I'm like, no,
yeah.
money is going to fund me living my God given purpose.
Yeah.
Right.
And the ability to serve others.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think part of what is missing in the money conversation is an understanding that money is not there for show. It's not there, to pass one over on someone else.
Mm-hmm.
The money that we're given is supposed to be used as a tool in fulfilling our purpose across religious lines, across ethnicities, across race, across even democracies or whatever it is. It's a tool, and we need to let go of this idea that money is bad. We never look at the saw that the carpenter's using and say, hey, your saw is just pure evil. Do you know what I mean? But we're going to use the saw to cut the wood to build the bench that we will upholster and sit on very comfortably at home. We have no problem with these other tools. I think money just magnifies. So the person who was a giver when they were challenged financially will keep being a giver when they are in abundance. Do you know what I mean?
So good. Yes.
It's just going to magnify. And I have to say, some people are probably afraid of money because perhaps they're afraid of what would happen when their being is magnified. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But if you're walking in purpose, you're good to go. You're totally good to go.
Oh, so beautifully stated. Thank you. Oh, you are an absolute delight. Where can all of our listeners best find you?
Well, I'm online at moneynavigator.ca. I am on Instagram, Facebook. Just look up hashtag Money Navigator. You'll find me. You'll find my content. Join our communities. I'm happy to have you. And you know what? Join the conversation, because I think the conversations are the best part of what we share.
Mm-hmm. And you can go to your website to take that money quiz, our personality around money.
Yes, please. It'll be fun. Don't worry. It's 10 questions. They're real life. I think there's one about a KitchenAid mixer in there somewhere. It's like, you totally get it. You don't have to go all Freud on you. No.
Yeah, right. It's meant to stay light and fun. Yes. And I always ask my interviewed guests this, but just to kind of send us out today, if you had one last tidbit, wrap your arms around our listeners, what do you hope that they hear today?
I hope that whoever's listening dares to dream a new dream and hold on tight to it, because you can make it happen. Go back to that. When I grow up, I want to be, and go make it happen.
Thank you so much for coming on today.
My pleasure.
And we'll catch you another time, hopefully.
For sure, Lindsay. Thanks for having me. I will be listening, and I will keep listening, and all the best.